Going on a new adventure in life. Hello, y'all. I'm Diana Brienne. You know, some people just get stuck in the same old in life, and they never make any changes. Maybe it's out of fear of change. Maybe they don't want to put forth the energy. Maybe they like where they're at and they don't want to try anything new. You know, I've been on a lot of adventures in my life, starting very, very young. I've always looked at life as like an adventure. And, you know, I remember I've had some fabulous jobs in my life, and the jobs were wonderful. And yet there came a time when I said, you know what, it's time to move on. I remember one of my first jobs, I had stayed on that about 2.5 years. And I remember I wanted to make a change, but I didn't want to give up that job. So what I did is I held on to that job like one day a week. And then it became one day every 2 weeks while I started on the new adventure with the new job. When I felt really comfortable on the new job and I knew it was right for me, I let go of the old one. I still cherish the old one, but I loved that new one. And I was on that job probably about 7 years, 6, 7, 8 years. And then I decided it was time for a new adventure. And it was very difficult for me to let go of that job because I really, really loved it. And I've had other jobs like that after that, and that I, loved, but I knew it was time. You know, I had a job that I loved when I met my husband. And for me to go with my husband, because he lived on another part of the country, I had to give up that job. But I was willing to do it for the adventure. I didn't know what that adventure really held. I didn't know if we were really going to get married. I was pretty sure that we would, but it wasn't, a for certain. And, but I went and I got on that plane and I left and I went on that new adventure. And that was 30 some years ago. And it's been a wonderful adventure. You know, sometimes if we're not willing to take a chance, if we're not willing to step out, if we're not willing to make a change, not much is going to happen in our lives. And so for me, I'm always up for an adventure. You know, I'm up for things staying the same. I love the way things are. And yet sometimes we can have adventures within adventures. Sometimes we don't have to give something up. Sometimes all we do is find a way that we can have both, that we can have it all. And, in some things we have to give up one thing to get another. It just depends. You know, if you have a job and you've got offered a better job or a different job, and you may still love this job, maybe all your friends are on the old job, you've got to make a decision whether you want to go on that new adventure or, stay on the old adventure. There's nothing wrong with staying put. A lot of good can come from staying put. I've seen people who stayed put on their jobs and they were very, very happy that they did. And, and didn't leave that job or leave that situation or leave that marriage or leave, wherever. And so, sometimes we do have to make a decision whether we're going to stay with something or not stay with something or go on an adventure. But life is an adventure, whether we have to give up one thing to move on to another, or whether we can hold on to something and have the other adventure too. It just depends upon what it is. But look at life as an adventure. And if it's right for your life, be willing to step into that adventure. Okay, from my house to yours, may God bless you. I hope you like, share, subscribe, and I hope to talk to you soon again. Bye-bye.